Terrain is always a key factor in battles. Taking advantage of terrain to gain advantage in conflict is always a top research priority. This factor is one of the three inevitable win conditions. According to the concept of Eastern people, it is the time of heaven, favorable terrain and strong internal solidarity. Both sides try to collect all three elements above, and if any element is missing, both sides try to change it to achieve it. Seen from the hotspot in the Middle East that is Israeli ground war faces Hamas tunnels. Reuters quoted security sources as saying that the tunnels dug by Hamas in the Gaza Strip are hundreds of kilometers long and 80 meters deep. A hostage released by Hamas described the Gaza tunnels as looking like spider webs. Western and Middle Eastern sources familiar with the situation in the Gaza Strip said that Hamas has tunnels of different types and uses under the 360 square kilometer coastal strip and its borders, including caves for launching attacks, smuggling, storage of supplies, and production operations. Although Israel has invested heavily in detecting Hamas tunnels, including an underground barrier equipped with sensors known as the Iron Wall, Hamas is still believed to have tunnels leading to the outside world. Officials in Washington say the United States believes Israeli special forces will face unprecedented challenges as they not only have to fight Hamas militants but also try to avoid killing hostages trapped underground. U.S. Defense Secretary Austin said that the U.S. military had been fighting for 9 months against Islamic State militants in order to retake the Iraqi city of Mosul from the terrorist organization, Islamic State, ISIS. Compared with the Israeli ground war in Gaza, the U.S. military's battle in Mosul may be relatively easy. Hamas did not achieve large numbers of troops with strong and advanced firepower, but they created the operational terrain in their favor. And when the battle begins, an arrangement will be made in the form of two chess boards on top of each other. A heavy aerial bombardment campaign by the Israeli military has caused minimal damage to Hamas tunnel infrastructure in the Gaza Strip, according to Israeli security sources. Hamas naval commando militants were also able to launch maritime attacks on Israeli coastal communities near the Gaza Strip this week. Reuters quoted security sources as saying that the tunnels dug by Hamas in the Gaza Strip are hundreds of kilometers long and 80 meters deep. A hostage released by Hamas described the Gaza tunnels as looking like spider webs. Western and Middle Eastern sources familiar with the situation in the Gaza Strip said that Hamas has tunnels of different types and uses under the 360 square kilometer coastal strip and its borders, including caves for launching attacks, smuggling, storage of supplies, and production operations. After the end of the last round of hostilities with Israel in 2021, Yahya al-Sinwar, the leader of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, said, "The Israelis started talking about destroying 100 kilometers of Hamas tunnel. Let me tell you, we have more than 500 kilometers of tunnel in the Gaza Strip. Even if their account is true, they only destroyed 20% of them." Sinwar's comments have not been confirmed. He is believed to have been hiding in tunnels in the Gaza Strip before Israeli forces launched a ground attack. Since Israel has full control of the air and sea access to the Gaza Strip, and of the 72 kilometers of land borders, except for the 13 kilometers of Egypt's southern border with the Gaza Strip, the Israelis control the remaining 59 kilometers of the border. Therefore, the tunnels are used by Hamas to transport weapons and equipment, one of the few ways to do that, and people. Although Hamas and other Palestinian groups keep their network of tunnels secret, recently released Israeli hostage Yehoved Lifshitz, 85, said, "It looks like a spider web, there are many different. We walked underground for several kilometers." Hamas sees the tunnels as a way to weaken some of Israel's advantages against Israel's overwhelming air and armored vehicle superiority by forcing Israeli soldiers into the cramped underground spaces familiar to Hamas militants. On October 26, an Israeli military spokesman said, "I will not elaborate on the number of kilometers of Hamas tunnels, but it is a large number and they are built underground in schools and residential areas." Former IDF Brigadier General Amir Avivi said, "Despite the massive attacks we carried out for several days, the Hamas leadership was virtually intact, the ability to command and control and even to try to launch a counterattack was intact, all intact." He also said, "At a depth of 40 to 50 meters underground, the entire Gaza Strip has a complete city. There are bunkers, headquarters and warehouses, and of course the tunnels are connected to more than 1,000 rocket launch sites." Reuters has learned from other sources that tunnels in the Gaza Strip are estimated to be as deep as 80 meters. A Western security source said that Hamas's tunnels are made of concrete and the construction quality is very good. Its tunnels can reach 10 times the level of the Viet Cong's tunnels. Additionally, Hamas has years of experience and significant funding in this area. Another security source from one of Israel's neighbors revealed that Hamas tunnels into Egypt remain active despite Israeli siege and bombing. He said, "At present, Hamas's supply channels are still intact, and some Egyptian military officers are involved in the coordination of operations. It is not clear whether the Egyptian army knows about this." According to two security sources and a trader in El Arish, Egypt, until recently, there were still a few narrow, deep tunnels between Egypt and the Gaza Strip where smuggling activities were still carried out, but since Israel and Kazakhstan since the Hamas armed conflict, smuggling activities in these tunnels have decreased and even come to a standstill. Egyptian officials did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. Hamas relies on tunnels to grow and develop. In 1987, Hamas was established in the Gaza Strip. Hamas is believed to have started digging the tunnels in the mid-1990s, when Israel granted Yasser Arafat's Palestine Liberation Organization a degree of autonomy in the Gaza Strip. The network of tunnels is a key reason why Hamas's influence is stronger in Gaza than in the occupied West Bank. Israeli settlements, military bases and surveillance equipment make it more difficult for Palestinians to obtain any supplies from Jordan. In 2005, Israel withdrew soldiers and settlers from the Gaza Strip, after Hamas won control of the Gaza Strip in the 2006 Palestinian elections. Digging tunnels became easier. Soon after, Hamas's military wing, the Izz el-Din al-Qassam brigades, dug a 600-meter tunnel and attacked the Kerem Shalom crossing on the Gaza border. At the port, Gilad Shalit, a corporal of the Israel Defense Forces Armored Corps, was captured and killed two other Israeli soldiers. A year later, Hamas used tunnels to launch a military attack on Arafat's forces in the Gaza Strip. Rafah tunnel operator Abu Qusay said it takes 3 to 6 months to dig a tunnel about 800 meters long and can bring in profits of up to $100,000 a day. The most profitable items are bullets, which sell for $1 each in Egypt and more than $6 each in the Gaza Strip. Kalashnikov rifles sell for $800 in Egypt and up to $1,600 in the Gaza Strip. In 2007, Hamas military wing is believed to have brought its commander, Mohammed Deif, into the Gaza Strip from Egypt through a tunnel. Mohammed Deif was the mastermind behind Hamas' deadly attack on Israel on October 7. Israel faces tunnel war. Yahalom is one of Israel's elite units responsible for going underground. They are professional commandos from the Israeli Combat Engineer Corps, known as the Weasels, who are responsible for finding, clearing and destroying tunnels. Earlier this week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited Yahalom soldiers and told them, "I need you, the Israeli people need you." Israeli sources say enemies of the Israeli army have regrouped and learned lessons from Israel's military operations in 2014 and 2021. Amnon Safran, a former Israeli brigadier general and former commander of the Combat Intelligence Force, Hamas tunnels will have many booby traps, and they will also have thermobaric weapons that are not available in 2021, which is more lethal. And I believe they have acquired a lot of anti-tank weapon systems that will try to hit our APCs, armored personnel carriers, our tanks. In addition, Hamas will also try to kidnap Israeli soldiers. Daphne Richmond Barak, a professor at Israel's Reichman University and author of Underground War, said, "What the Israel Defense Forces may face in the tunnels is also the Islamic State, ISIS, and other armed groups to share their experience and knowledge with Hamas." Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from Understand China, and thank you for tuning in.